Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at some clan battles. Yes, you can see I'm with Armored Knights, and by the way, anyone who is watching who would be interested in joining Armored Knights, you are more than welcome to do so. In the video comment section below, or the video description section below, I have a link to the Armored Knights homepage, and you are more than welcome to go there, fill out an application, and jump onto Discord with us and play some games. Anyway, clan battles. So first week of clan battles is over, and I had a lot of fun with clan battles. I really have been enjoying the clan battle gameplay. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, I've been having a lot of fun. Now, typically, when I've been playing with the clan, I've been running the Moskva, as we see here, and my whole goal and my whole purpose in being on the team is to provide radar support when required. It makes it a little tricky. Because the Moskva can be a very, very effective sniper, right? Sitting in the back, sniping it out. But in clan battles, that is not what the Moskva is intended, or at least is not how I've been playing here, right? I've been trying to get within radar range of certain cap zones that at the beginning of the battle, the battle caller, in this case Super, you can see Super Controller on our team here, is battle calling. So, you know, he'll let us know what caps he wants us to go for, and then he'll advise me where he wants me to go. And typically, again, I need my radar range to cover the cap that I'm going to be going for, generally speaking. Now, we're on Hotspot, and I think there's only a few clan battle maps. Hotspot is one of them. We'll see another one later on. I can't quite remember right now. Or Mountain Range. Yeah, that's another one. But anyway. So Hotspot's one. Now, typically on Hotspot, what we have been doing if we spawn in the north or in the south is go for the cap right away that you're closest to. Right, in this case, it's the northern cap for us because that's where we spawned. And then on the C cap zone, or rather that, I think it's A caps. No, yeah, C cap zone, way over there in the west. It's sort of, you know, a debate as to what should we do. How should we approach that situation, right? Now, generally what we've been doing in the past is we'll go ahead and we'll take the cap zone that we're closest to, and then we go off and we send like a destroyer and a fast cruiser down to take that A zone, and then hold the zones and defend from there. However, what we've noticed some enemy teams starting to do is kind of what this enemy team is doing, right? They take their zone, but then as a group, they push up to try get to the north to take that zone as well. In the process of doing that, one of two things will happen. One is that they'll start taking allied ships down, or sorry, enemy ships down, so, you know, gaining them the victory. Or if there aren't many enemy ships at the cap zone that they're trying to get to, what could happen is then they cap it and gain the advantage, while my team, you know, could potentially be at a position and only with one cap zone. So we recognize this early, and instantly, right, we abandon the C cap zone. We're not going to try and take the C cap zone. Instead, what we're going to try and do is get the enemy ships that are in front of us, get them gone as quick as we possibly can, get them burning using the repair module, get some of these hit points gone. That being said, it did provide a nice little opportunity for me to play the Moskva a little differently than I would normally play in a, you know, standard clan battle game. In this instance, I'm able to actually maneuver around, which is something I really enjoy, not just, you know, parking in one spot and sitting there. I'll park in a spot if I have to, obviously, if that's what's needed. But in this case, I do actually get to maneuver around a little, which is great, because you can see the enemies are firing at me, which is perfect, and I'm able to avoid most of those incoming shots while taking very little damage. And, you know, the whole purpose of this, obviously, is taking the heat off of my team. It allows my team to sort of circle around, get themselves into better positions, and then fire on the enemy, which is exactly what we're doing at this point in time. So you can see that enemy, I believe was an enemy Moskva back there, is gone now, but the player is still on fire, so this is good. Hopefully that damage will continue to rack up. You can see some torpedoes on the way in. I believe those are from Super running the Shimikaze, and those torpedoes on the way for the Yamato. Bit of debate over which battleship is best to bring in to a clan battle. I mean, I don't play battleships, so I guess I don't really have too much of an opinion on it. But there are some points that I like to mention, I suppose. So, you know, people have been taking the Yamato, and the Yamato is a great ship to take in, but the Yamato can be citadeled by tier 10 cruisers, and the majority of the enemy ships are going to be cruisers. So yeah, whether or not the Yamato is the best ship to take in, I don't think so. The Kurfürst, on the other hand, cannot be citadeled, and that makes for an interesting option right then and right there. What's the tier 10 British Conqueror? I don't think Conqueror, at first I thought, yeah, Conqueror definitely is going to be the one you want to go in there with, blah blah blah, be great, but no, time is well, yeah, time and trial and error has shown the Conqueror probably isn't so great. Kurfürst is a good option though, but at the end of the day, I do really think that it comes down to the captain and the style of play that the individual team is employing, right? So if your team isn't employing maybe a death ball strategy of just pushing forward and trying to get the enemy killed right away, if you're employing that sort of strategy, Kurfürst is probably going to be your best option there, because yeah, she can go right in there, take a bunch of damage, can't be citadeled. Well, she can be citadeled, but very unlikely that she'd be citadeled, and you can take her down quite easily. On the other hand, if your team is going to use the battleships maybe to snipe or to support cruisers, and you're going bow in, right? Yamato's a great option. Montana is a fantastic option, especially considering you can get the concealment of the Montana down to, what is it, like 11 something kilometers, which is really good. So that's not too bad at all either. So there definitely are options for the battleships, and I guess this whole rant, ultimately what I'm getting at is it really does come down to the individual team and how the team plays, right? What they're expecting to get out of the battle itself. But anyway, you can see so far things are going pretty well for my team, other than the fact that we don't have a cap advantage. We only have one cap. It is always critical to mention, and while you're playing, to remember that in these 7v7 matchups, much like we talked about in ranked battles for a long time, don't kill yourself trying to take a cap. Don't do it. It's more important to whittle down the enemy ships and actually take out an enemy ship than it would be to take a cap. In these 7v7 situations, taking down an enemy ship is much more important than taking a cap. Now, I mean, obviously that is going to change as the battle progresses, right? And as it comes closer to the end, and if you really do need those points, then yeah, you really are going to have to take a cap. But right now, not so important. Now, Super called out that Matt, our player on the Cabros, needs support. He needs some help to get this enemy, I think it's another enemy Cabros, off of him. So instantly, I turn around, I've got the range, I do have the accuracy as well, assuming I could actually hit anything, but I do have, the ship has the accuracy to actually get some shots down range and make that Cabros break contact with Matt so that we can keep Matt alive, which is exactly what I managed to do there, which is great. So Cabros turns away, don't need to worry about that player for right just this second. Instead, we can take a moment to look around. More importantly as well, right, when you're in these situations, is to listen to what the battle caller is saying, the information that is being provided to you. It's been maybe I've discussed it on the channel, I'm not sure, but a little blurb on battle calling. What makes a good battle caller? I think it's macro management, not micro. There's too much going on for you to individually control each ship, right? However, if you go into the battle and you lay out your general plan and you give information to to your allies and your teammates, and then those teammates are able to use that information to make judgments on what they need to do in order to accomplish that general strategy or that general goal, generally it works out quite well, and it proves to be a pretty good battle caller. But anyway, Anyway, you can see that my team, right now we're just kind of sailing around, taking a look, playing it safe. We do have a lead in the points, but again, we're down a cap, but we're not, panicked about it, and we're not making mistakes. You really do want to be aware of this. Don't make mistakes. Oh, or if you do make mistakes, try and make them as small as possible so you don't trade too many hit points. So we do see the enemy battleship over there. I believe it's the enemy cruiser over there as well. So we are, keeping that player in mind. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and get myself down to the B cap zone through the center. Now I'm doing this because, one, I wanted to be in radar range of an enemy destroyer, specifically the Khabarovsk, who we saw earlier in the north, who may be down over on this side now, but also just to provide a different angle of fire to the enemy, in case, that player, or I come across an enemy who hasn't been killed and my team is kind of dealing with, maybe then I can get some crossfire going and take that player down. But chances right now don't look so great because, we're doing pretty great. So we can see the enemy Khabarovsk pop up once again. He starts to put shots into me. So great, we're going to start engaging the Khabarovsk and try to get the player down. You can see that one of my allies is now into the enemy cap zone at B and is now capping that. So great, I don't need to continue my push to the south because I know that my teammates are going to cap that zone. Instead, I can focus a little on this Khabarovsk, keeping an eye on the mini-map though, right? I do not want to become separated from my team. And you can see, in fact, I am now turning back in towards my team. Even though I know we're going to take that zone, I don't want to single myself out, right? I am a cruiser, I do have radar, but I'm not going to take the chance and, potentially eat a few torpedoes and get killed. That's not something that I want to have happen. Just wouldn't be good. In the meantime, though, I can definitely still get shots off at the Khabarovsk and group up with my allies. And once my allies do start making the push over towards C, then I can start that push with them as well, or at least help lead that push anyway. We can see that we are exchanging shots with the Khabarovsk. Oh, these things are slippery. And this is why I think the Khabarovsk is such a great destroyer to have in these clan battles. Now, at first, when I was, hadn't played clan battles and I was speculating about destroyers, I thought, well, maybe the gearing would be a good choice. I don't think the gearing is a good choice at all. Not at all. The gearing's too slow. She can't get away from trouble when she finds herself in trouble. Just can't. If you have a faster destroyer, it'll just chase her down. Or if you have a fast cruiser like the Henry can just chase it down. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to bring a gearing. I have been pleasantly surprised with how well the Khabarovsk and Shimakaze has been performing. Khabarovsk because... why not? It's very, very fast, very, very hard to hit, and it's an excellent gunboat to harass the enemy, to contest points, to, kite against the enemy if need be. It is just a great ship to do that, and I think it's performing quite well. And then, of course, Shimakaze, right, you've got all those torpedoes, so it just makes sense that that ship is going to be quite good. So anyway, battle is over. Victory is ours, and we can take a look at the old results here. I forget which battle this is. Yes, okay, so we had just won, and we're working our way towards the final stage of, I think it's Squall or Gale? Whatever the first league is. Anyway, that's where we are right now at this video. So the way it works is you get so many points. I think it's up to 100 points. Once you have those 100 points, you then play you then have, or rather you can play up to 5 battles. You need 3 victories during those 5 battles in order to then move into the next league, is essentially how it's working. Now, in this replay that we're taking a look at, this is the final battle that Armored Knights and myself play in order to get ourselves into the next league. We had played, we got to the final there, and we played, I think, 4 battles in total, and first battle was a victory, second battle was a loss, the next 2 battles were both victories, and this is the last battle there to get us into the next league. So now we're on Mountain Range. We pretty much have a really good workable strategy for this map, and it seems to work quite well for us. So we send a flanking force off to the most northern cap, I think it's A, and that flanking force consists of a cruiser and a destroyer. So those guys go over there and start capping that base. Now, in the meantime, the remainder of the allies move right in here to C, and we're going to start contesting the point. Again, not trying, at least at the C point here, not trying to cap this point right away. What we're essentially doing is still scouting for the enemy, trying to figure out where the enemy is going. If the enemy is playing into how we want them to play, then we will go ahead and, deploy as we normally do. But until we see the enemy and figure out and get a general sense of where they're going, we do the general setup, which again brings it back to the whole battle calling thing, right? A good battle caller will lay out a general plan of attack right at the beginning, and then depending on what happens as the enemy starts popping up, will determine, where you guys are going to go from there. So you can see in this map, I am going to get myself a little closer into C. Again, I'm not trying to cap C. I'm just making sure that my radar is going to be within range of C if needed. We can see that one of my allies, I think it's State Thrash in the Hindenburg, is deploying in and around C as well to help provide support there as well, just to make sure that I don't necessarily become the sole focus of the enemy. We do want to try and preserve some of our radar ability. So we can see some of the enemies start to pop up. So the enemy obviously is coming after C as well. They most likely have a flanking force on the way to that southern point as well. It's a fairly common strategy. Most teams use this strategy as well, so I'm not concerned about talking about the strategy and giving away any secrets or anything like that. There are only 3 points. You all spawn in the same spot every time. This is the way it's going to work out. But anyway, we can see the enemy. Now, the enemy isn't necessarily making a stand for C. The enemy makes a mistake, though. Their mistake is that they've deployed to try and contest C, but they haven't deployed very well. They're behind islands and they don't have really good shots that they can get on us. I mean, look where I am. I'm going at a quarter speed. I've got no cover around me. No one spots me, and no one is actually targeting me either. So I'm in a really good spot right now to be able to help out C here as well. And again, we've moved and we started to make some motions towards capping C, but we're not necessarily set on it just yet. And I say that just as our ally destroyer dies. Yes, I know. It was fairly tragic. So we see the enemy Z-46 over there, or Z-52? Is that the tier 10 German destroyer? Anyway, over there, and that was the player that was causing us all the trouble. Now, I did eat a torpedo, and I am on fire, but again, not going to freak out. I've got good players behind me who are going to support me. I'm basically tip of the spear at this point in time. All I need to do is just maybe slowly push forward, maybe slowly back out, just depending on how the enemy reacts. So we do see the enemy Minotaur over there, so we're putting shots into the enemy Minotaur, trying to get the player gone. I did want to switch over to armor piercing, but I wasn't willing to risk it in case, of course, the Minotaur angles against it, but more importantly, in case one of those enemy destroyers does happen to pop up once again. So I am switched over, or rather I am at full speed now, and I'm turning myself out of C, right? I'm not going to try and die to take this cap zone. Not worth it. Don't need to do it. So we're going to turn and we're going to get ourselves out of here as best we can. Try and preserve our hit points as best we can as well. In the meantime, you can see my team back here by C is redeploying. We're starting to get ourselves behind some cover. But once again, the enemy didn't deploy very well, right? Because even though they're behind cover and we aren't able to get too many shots off on them, they aren't in a good position to even push and try and contest C. Right now, C is almost ours. There are some enemy destroyers around that we need to be aware of, but for the most part, if we wanted to, we could go in there and cap C. We're not going to do it just yet, however. Once again, the cap points aren't as important as the individual ships, right? You need to stay alive, preserve that health as best as you possibly can. So we see the enemy battleship pop up, and it is an enemy Conqueror, tier 10 British battleship. I think it's a Conqueror, but it's not going to do very well. Not going to do very well at all. I believe our battleship this time around is a Montana, and that Conqueror is broadside, not only to our battleship, but also to our Hindenburgs, who are firing the AP. We can see the AP going in, right? And it's just not a good day for this player at all. yeah, maybe could have gone better for that player. No, Kerr first, that's what we're doing. Now suddenly I do run into our allied battleship, and what's about to happen is a little tragic. I was a little salty about it, but whatever, it doesn't matter. If I hadn't have run into that battleship, I wouldn't die, basically, is what's about to happen, as I'm sure you can imagine, with the torpedoes on the way in. Yes, so I was a little salty. But whatever, doesn't matter. I do die, but I did decent enough for my team, I suppose. But mainly, another nice thing about these clan battles is it's members of your clan who are on the team, and you guys are all talking to each other, and the support is there. So even though I'm gone and now my team is deprived of radar, we're still in an excellent position to start whittling away some more at these enemy ships, right? Now, we can see on the minimap that our flanking force who went and took that northern cap zone, I think it's A, who went and took that A cap zone, is working their way to the south, right? We've got that, I think it's a Khabarovsk and the Henry down there working their way towards that cap zone, harassing the enemy along the way. And this is perfect because the enemy, for the most part, is still deployed behind the islands at sea, which we are now capping. The enemy, of course, did get in there and cap it, but we are now capping it back, so this is perfect. You can see that we have an enemy destroyer over there as well, and our battleship did eat a few torpedoes, but not really that big of a deal. Again, the Kurfürst can take the damage, right? She's really, really good at it. Very, very good at it indeed. But more importantly, our flanking force. Now, we did lose the Allied destroyer over there at the flank, so that's kind of tragic. We did really want to preserve that destroyer, but whatever. Not a big deal. Again, we do have our Henry over there who is kind of harassing the enemy, but as we can see, the Henry is about to go down. So things aren't looking so great at this time, and I was really concerned. I didn't think that we were actually going to pull this off. So 3 of my allied ships remaining versus 4 of the enemy, and the enemy has 2 destroyers. Now we know that one of those destroyers though is right there in front of the Hindenburg in that smoke. Our battleship takes another torpedo, but as you can see is able to initiate the repair and is starting to gain back the hit points. It does look like our battleship is flooding, however, but at least with the repair going, battleship will stay alive a little longer, which is pretty advantageous to us. So we are capping C once again, and again, you know, bringing it back to the cap points not being very important, you know, not the end all beat all. We did not finish capping that point, right? Instead, we took the opportunity to try and get some more damage in on one of those enemy destroyers, especially the enemy destroyer who's been harassing our battleship, which is what we managed to do there. Now that things have quieted down a little, you can see that, you know, we do have a Hindenburg in the cap zone, and it is capping it out, and we're about to take it, so that's great. Perfect. Now we have 2 cap zones, but still, this is not guarantee of victory, right? At this point in time, what we need to do with our remaining 3 ships is we have to play it incredibly safe. We have to. It just can't be done any other way, right? We need our players to stay alive, be aware, and not make any mistakes, which is exactly what we're about to see. Excellent. So we can see that the enemy destroyer does pop up once again. We can see our battleship is targeting it, but also our Hindenburg is as well, which is good. We're getting more damage in on that enemy destroyer, just below half health here. So maybe, you know, a few more shots, and we should be able to take the player down quickly enough. Now the enemies do still have a cruiser, and they do 2 cruisers as well, so again we want to be careful. Now one of the enemy cruisers is a Zhao, and it's a rental Zhao. It's great that Wargaming gave the opportunity for everyone to play clan battles, right? As long as you have a tier 8, play that one battle, you get your rental ships, and now you can play clan battles with your clans. That's great. But these rental ships sure do suck. I mean, Zhao is it's a damn nice cruiser. I love my Zhao, but in clan battles, not so great. It takes a little more skill in terms of the player itself. On top of that, when you have your rental Zhao, you don't get your camo. Your commander probably isn't all trained up, so it really is a detriment. So I really liked the fact that we were facing off against a rental Zao here. Even though this Zao does have the Yamato captain in it, it's still a rental Zao. Again, very happy because I know that we'll probably take down the Zao relatively easily. So you can see that the Zao was going broadside there to our enemy battleship, so we're going to hopefully get some good damage on there. But more importantly, we do have our Hindenburgs over here working over this, well, one of the enemy cruisers. And within a few shots, we should have the enemy cruiser down, and we should be able to even up the odds here against the enemy 3-on-3. So shots go in from the Hindenburgs and take down one of the enemy cruisers. Only one enemy cruiser remaining with the 2 enemy destroyers. There's one of the enemy destroyers, but I don't think we've spotted that second enemy destroyer. Most likely that enemy destroyer is on his way to the north to take out that A cap zone. Most likely. So we can see some shots are going into that Z-52 over there, who is on very low health, from our allied battleship, who is also on very low health. And yes, we do see the second enemy destroyer, and the enemy destroyer was on his way up there to the north. It was, you know, probably the play that made the most sense, so easy enough to call. We still have our allied battleship alive, but it doesn't look like our allied battleship is going to be sticking around too much longer, but that's okay, because we know that at least one of those enemy destroyers is on really, really low health. So if we can just take out one of those enemy destroyers and that Zao, we'd be on some, you know, we'd be really, really well off. Now, while all of this is going on, of course, we've still maintained a pretty nice lead in points. So this is very important, because as the battle starts to draw closer to an end, your points become more important. And I know that that sounds hypocritical, especially considering we just talked about how, you know, the points aren't necessarily that important, but as the battle progresses, they do become more important. While I was talking, we did take down that Z-52, which is perfect. Only one enemy destroyer remaining, and we know that that enemy destroyer is in the north, most likely on his way over here to the C cap zone. If the enemy destroyer in the north didn't already cap B, the player is probably working his way down towards our allies over here at C. Now you can see our Hindenburgs are engaging the enemy Zao, and the enemy Zao is for the most part running away. And then there we go, the enemy destroyer starts capping A. So turns out I'm wrong. Enemy destroyer decided to continue on to the cap zone, and it's now taking out A, trying to get the points. But in the meantime, while all of this is going on, obviously, you know, again, we're discussing in Discord as, you know, what's going on, how we can best win. And we're looking at it, and we're doing the math, and we're thinking, no, we've got this. All we need to do is stay alive. As long as our allies, and they won't, but, you know, sometimes if you're in randoms, they definitely do. But as long as our allies here and now don't go off on their own and make some mistakes and get killed, we should actually win this pretty easily, which would be pretty damn fantastic. Now, obviously, I'm a little concerned about this Hindenburg trailing off, but nope. Hindenburg captain, you know, again, Armored Knight captain, so obviously not going to be making too many stupid moves here. So obviously the player starts angling right and keeping himself in a position where, yes, he can take down the enemy destroyer if the enemy destroyer pops up, but is also able to support our battleship and other Hindenburg if need be. Our battleship didn't go down, which was really, really lucky. Really lucky. I think actually in the the chat there, the enemy team commented on why on the curve first and how it wouldn't go down. But battle is almost over and victory is almost ours. And you can see again, just by situational awareness, basically, you know, paying attention to what you're doing, your allies are doing, the cap points, and, you know, using all of that in all that information to your advantage, you're quickly able to see you know, how you can go about a victory here as well. And it's just about playing safe, right? For the most part, we did stay in and around C, but our flanking force did play a critical role in getting us a cap advantage fairly early on. We were able to take that that A point, and then the C point to give us that cap advantage. But anyway, battle is over. Victory is ours. I was very excited for the victory. You can see that we have now been promoted to the next league. What is it? It's Squall and then Gale, or Gale then Squall? Not sure. But we're in the next league now anyway. So come Wednesday, when those clan battles open up once again, we'll be able to play in a new league. Looking forward to that. So yeah. Curious how you guys are enjoying clan battles. If you want to try out clan battles and you're not in a clan, once again, you're more than welcome to check out Armoured Knights. I'd highly encourage it. They're very easy to apply to and to get along with, so I would definitely recommend that. But anyway, that is the end of today's video. Do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to hit the old like button and the old subscribe button if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.